Welcome back to my series about Elite Dangerous. So today I will talk about online groups, alliances and Ironman game mode. If you like single player games, you are lucky because Elite Dangerous can be played offline or online solo. And only difference between those modes is that online play will require you to be connected to game servers all the time and will share same galaxy as all other online groups. Game success is highly depending on how you can play it. Some games are only single player and you are usually god there. Some games are only multiplayer and you are usually semi-god there. In Elite you will be just a regular pilot fighting your way into the harsh galaxy, and I must add very unforgiving galaxy. So if you are not prepared or don't want to think ahead, you will be in for a very rough ride. Most games today are made for middle gamer, and let's face it, they are dumbed down considerably. Developers, or probably I must use the word publisher here, want just to sell the game no matter what. And we are lucky that Elite has no publisher. Frontier is making the games they want to play and they will not listen to vocal majority, and that's great, because we all know who are vocal majority. So don't expect Elite to be anything that you can pick up and play after 5 minutes. The game will require couple days at least to get used to controls and couple weeks to do most things naturally, especially if you are new to space sim genre. Also, if you force player versus player, potentially many gamers will not play the game at all. You really can't force people to enjoy the same thing. Solo and private groups are a way of keeping more people playing the game. And the more people play the game, the more chance there is that they will decide to give the full multiplayer experience a go. So, if you are like me and prefer online co-op play with friends, then there are two different online modes just for that. An online solo mode, if you just like to be in always changing universe, but without anyone else messing your game. Let's now take a look at each of those. First, all players group. Players in this group will be matched with each other as much as possible to ensure as many human players can meet and play together. A player's friend list and ignore list is used automatically to indicate preferences in matchmaking, so that friends will be matched with each other as much as possible when entering new sessions. Same goes for ignored players. They will not be favored when matchmaking players together. So if all players in a session have the same player ignored, then that player will never be able to join that session. If a person earns a bounty, their ignore list and friend preferences won't affect matchmaking, and bounty hunters will still be able to encounter the player, even if the bounty hunter is on the player's ignore list. Second group, private group. Players in this group will only be matched with other players in the same private group. Players can create their own private group and invite people into it. And third, solo group. Players in this group won't be matched with anyone else ever, as they are effectively indicating that they want to be left alone and not disturbed by anyone else. All online modes share same galaxy, and any changed by players from one group will be seen in other modes too. Transition between all online modes currently are seamless, but the issue is resuming multiplayer after a long single player session. And the problem is with cheating. Worst case, once you go single player you will not be able to play with that save on multiplayer. But for now, Beta 1 shares same save game for all three online modes, and you can switch between any mode at any time and keep your progress. Also, you can save your game anytime and at any place you want to, so you can play even small sessions. In addition to the groups, a player can be a part of an alliance with other players. This is a separate entity that operates within the boundaries of whatever group the players are in, and a player can only ever be in a single alliance at a time. Alliances allow players to indicate trust between themselves, so they can freely jettison and pick up cargo between themselves, fire upon each other without criminal implications, gain the same criminal fine and bounty if one or other members commits a crime, but this only occurs if the player is in the same vicinity as the player committing the crime, have the ability to slave hyperdrive systems together to make travel easier, and get matched as a whole during slaved hyperspace travel. Creating an alliance is handled exactly the same way as creating a private group, with the caveat that anyone in the group can invite other players into the alliance and no one is the leader. So, in the all players group, any player can be invited into the alliance by any alliance member. Players can leave alliance freely and can vote to kick any member out of alliance. You might ask, if that's an MMO, what about huge guilds and corporations with insane amount of management that other MMO provide? Well, with 32 player limit per instance, there is really no need for 1000 player guilds. And I am pretty sure that 16 great pallets can kill a group of many hundreds of enemies just because they will be facing only 16 at any given time. So alliances are more than enough for Elite. Also, Frontier just gives us the tools, and how we use them are up to us. There are already ongoing races between players in Beta 1, and they are managed by other players. So, by not having something in game doesn't mean that you can't do that, but it will require some effort, and probably that's what middle gamer nowadays lacks. They want all to be done automatically. And good thing that middle age of elite pilots are around 40 years. Also, worth noting is that hardcore players will have the ability to play Elite Dangerous in Ironman mode. So, what is this Ironman mode? During commander creation, the player may set the Ironman flag. Ironman commanders can never be grouped with normal commanders. Players can use the same name for both normal and Ironman commanders. Escape pod systems must be manually activated, can be damaged and made inoperable, and are disposable. So after use, new pod can be purchased. Failure to use an escape pod permanently kills the commander if the ship suffers catastrophic hull damage. Permanently killed commanders can be resurrected as a normal commander with no Ironman flag, and continuing from when they died. So basically, if you play Elite online, it's an MMO, but not in the traditional sense of that word, because detail level and network traffic is so big that there must be a limit to how many players can be effectively same time, same place. That's where instances, or as developers call them, islands come into play. Currently the player limit per island is 32, but that should increase as technology evolves. The important elements are moderated by the server and are slightly less time critical, but much of the traffic goes peer-to-peer to reduce ping times. NPC ships in an island are not limited by this, so we can have hundreds of AIs fighting alongside. Also, developers are currently investigating transponder system, and it's a secret electronic handshake signal used by members of the Pilots Federation to identify each other. Transponder would allow players to choose how they want to be seen on other players' scanners, as hollow or field targets, but it's not known when or even if that system will ever go live. And it would be nice to have the ability to blend with NPCs. That's it for today. In next episode I will take a look at 400 billion, yes, billion, star system, galaxy we all live in. Thank you for listening, and as usually, fly safe, Commander.